We started this series with a challenge. Both wave physics and the standard model of particle physics attempt to describe the empirical data. Of the two theories, only wave physics starts with a small set of principles and builds a logical structure that is fully consistent, layer upon layer. 19 videos later, here is what that case looks like. The universe is a two-dimensional membrane under tension. It has four primitive properties: a minimum length, a minimum time, a yield threshold between elasticity and permanent deformation, and a minimum displacement. Everything else, including the membrane's minimum detectable energy, follows from those four. Ripples are disturbances that travel across the membrane and return it to flat. They are what radiation is. Knots are disturbances that the membrane cannot restore. They are what matter is. The trefoil knot, the simplest self-reinforcing topological structure the membrane can form, is the single fundamental object of which all matter in the observable universe is composed. From those two building blocks, the rest of the framework assembles itself. The electric field is the slope of the knot's displacement. Gravity is the tension deficit the knot leaves in the surrounding membrane. Magnetism is the membrane's lateral response to any moving displacement. The strong force is the topological indivisibility of the trefoil. The weak force is a rare mechanical failure mode of the same structure. All four of the standard model's fundamental forces reduce to the geometry and dynamics of a single object on a single substrate. The energy triangle is the Pythagorean theorem applied to the membrane's two orthogonal degrees of freedom. Mass, momentum, the electric field, gravity, and magnetism are all geometric expressions of the same displacement. The full equation was articulated by Minkowski in 1908, building on the work of Lorentz, Poincaré, Planck, and Einstein. The piece they were all missing, the soliton, was not formalized until 1965. By then, the field had moved in a different direction, and the people who might have connected the pieces were gone. The organization of distortions does not stop at the smallest level, which is radiation. Knots are permanent, 3D structures extruded from the 2D membrane. Atomic structure follows from knot packing geometry. Chemical bonding follows from the electrical and topological properties of those structures. The membrane substrate does not stop at the atomic level. Atomic structure follows from knot packing geometry. Chemical bonding follows from the electrical and topological properties of those structures. Protein folding is determined by nuclear architecture rather than statistical sampling. Biology is chemistry with memory. The past encoded not in the membrane, which is always present tense, but in the topological configuration of the knots themselves. And the mind-body problem, long treated as a philosophical impasse, may have a mechanical solution in the geometry of the membrane itself. The standard model, not being built upon a sound mechanical foundation, doesn't lead to significant conclusions at the macro level. Wave physics, because it is built on mechanical principles, illuminates structure across multiple seemingly unrelated disciplines at every scale of reality. This theory was developed without a laboratory, without funding, and without institutional affiliation, by one person at a desk in collaboration with artificial intelligence systems. Neither party could run a single experiment. What was available instead was imagination, logic, mathematics, and the accumulated experimental record of human civilization, available to anyone with an internet connection. Tycho Brahe spent decades making the most precise, naked-eye astronomical observations ever recorded. It was Kepler, working from Brahe's data after his death, who derived the laws of planetary motion. Kepler had no observatory. He had mathematics, reasoning, and someone else's numbers. That was enough. Wave physics is an attempt to do as Kepler did, to take the accumulated experimental record and ask what mechanical picture is consistent with all of it. The work is not finished. The exact structural configurations of each isotope remain to be mapped. The derivation of the 7-protein backbone LOX from first principles awaits a full membrane simulation. The dimensional extrusion hypothesis and what it implies about consciousness is almost entirely unexplored, but the foundational chassis is established. The universe is not a collection of mysterious particles governed by abstract laws. It is a mechanical system, and everyone and everything is connected through it. The dust may take decades to settle. The experiments that will decide this conflict may not be run in the author's lifetime, but the case is made. Either wave physics or the standard model of particle physics will be the dominant theory in its domain 40 years from now. Only time will tell.